Hey everyone, you're listening to InfoQuench with Jeff.
And Amy. We're chatting about how to get the most out of life.
And covering a ton of interesting topics.
So there's sure to be something.
For just about everyone. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, and welcome to InfoQuench. I'm your host, Jeff.
And I'm Amy, and this episode we're going to be talking about our latest obsession. So whether you're into what Jeff likes or what I like, because we don't always like the same things, we've discovered.
Yeah, we really don't, but that's okay. That's what makes a great relationship, when you have nothing in common.
We were waiting to have the computer boot up because we had a power outage probably a few days ago and hadn't noticed, and we started the computer back up, and we were wondering whether the...
it took forever.
Well, yes, and just last week there was a massive outage because CrowdStrike had launched updates to Microsoft, and we thought maybe that was part of it, but probably the power outage saved us.
It doesn't help
computer was off.
That our computer itself is like from the prehistoric age.
Yeah, we probably weren't even really getting those updates, and
yeah, it's really old, but you know what? It serves us well.
You know what?
For the most part, it works.
It does. And while we were waiting to have the computer boot up, I learned something new, and I'm going to share it with our listeners because they might find this interesting. And you may also already know, because probably most people do, but we have guitars. Jeff likes to play instruments, and there are two different guitars that were within eyesight, and we were talking about guitar picks. Actually,
I picked it up because we were wasting time while the computer booted up, right?
That's right.
So I started playing one, and you started asking me questions. What was your first question?
Is that called a thumb pick?
Right, it's a thumb pick. It kind of, I mean, that works too, but it's a guitar pick, you know.
If you hear me go in and out sometimes, well, we're always working on our sound quality, but I also have to move my mouth away when I break into laughter because I'm just a little bit too loud for the mic.
You're a boisterous laughter, and that's what I love about you.
It's always authentic. But I thought they were called thumb picks because you basically use them to replace your thumb because your thumb gets sore. Well,
you know what, though? You are right to a degree, because I think if you play banjo, you do have to have what's called a thumb pick. I do believe that's what it's called. So that you have to, like, pick the strings, like sideways with your thumb, right? Rather than playing it, like, holding a pick. But, like, I think that is called a thumb pick. I'm not really sure, though.
I know, and the listeners don't get to see you miming this out, but it is very interesting. And I think with that one, isn't it the ring? Isn't there an actual ring that goes around your thumb, and then the pick extends from that?
Yeah,
like
there's ones like that as well, yeah. And there's all these different kinds of, like, thickness when it comes to guitar picks, because some people like it really loose, so it slides across the strings a lot easier, and some people like really rigid ones where you can really pluck the string.
Well, and if we haven't lost you yet, I'll tell you a little bit more that I learned about guitars. So of these two guitars, I said, well, they both have 6 strings. Yeah. And I remember that from a little ditty about Jack and Diane.
Yeah.
But when I look at them, I'm like, are they just 2 acoustic guitars? And to which Jeff replied, no, they do in fact have 6 strings. So I did count that correctly. But one has nylon strings and one has metal.
That's right, because one guitar is a classical guitar, and I think all classical guitars have nylon strings, and acoustic guitars have, like, sort of metal strings or whatever. Yeah.
Now, see, I always thought that all guitars hurt your fingers, and that's why people use picks sometimes. I just remember trying to play guitar when I was really young.
It's a style of playing, mostly.
But they were probably metal strings, because you said the metal strings obviously hurt your fingers a lot more than a nylon string would.
Yeah, you have to remember that they're, like, I know you know this, but, like, if you're playing, like, with your left hand on, like, making the chords and stuff, that's the hand that mostly hurts, right? Because you're pressing the strings.
Oh.
So the other string, if you have a pick, your other hand, if you have a pick, there's nothing hurting there. And even if you're using your thumb to strum, that's not really that painful.
I honestly didn't know that, because I can't remember the last time I picked up a guitar aside from to move it and clean under it.
Yeah.
But I haven't picked up a guitar to play.
You're not interested, though, so.
No.
It's like me with, and then, like, that's the thing. You and I have many opposite interests. Like, you love chess. Chess has been one of the things that you've been playing a lot. I don't really enjoy chess. My brain doesn't work that way.
I'm full on chess.com, and that is my obsession. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what brought me back into it. Well, no, it was our son Hux was playing
Yeah.
on it, and he started talking about ratings. I'm like, oh, ratings. And then that's something I can work on. It's tangible. It's not
You
just...
love that. You love seeing your like tangible success, like
Well, and
improvement.
learning and strategizing,
Yeah.
and you can analyze your games afterward. And so if you're into chess, chess.com is pretty much there. I'm looking out the window behind Jeff, and there are all these seagulls going down to the ground.
Really?
And I'm thinking there's something going on down there.
Oh yeah, when we got home from our bike ride, Hux noticed that someone threw a hot dog bun in front of the house. That's probably what they're after.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what they're after, seriously.
I just saw a bunch of them jump in.
You're getting a live report, people. Live report of the seagulls
I get to see
engulfing.
white wings flapping.
Yeah, that's
in the
what's
window.
going on there.
Okay.
It's literally right in front of the window. I'm like, I'll just leave that there.
Well, okay. Well, they appreciate
What's the
it.
point?
It's
Gonna
compostable.
biodegrade. Yeah.
I figure that.
So that, you know what, I'm just noticing something though. You're interested in chess. That is something that you can constantly improve upon and get new, learn new things. Well, guitar is no different, really. I mean, it's just not a game. It's just something that you practice and get better at, right?
Well, yes. I think most things people do, they want to get better at.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the reason.
Except for maybe like reading,
Yeah.
because you're just, unless you wanted to read faster. But most people are just reading to read. They're not trying to keep getting better at reading as...
But the
Also
way in
learning
which
to
you
read.
learn with chess is no different than the way someone would learn if they want to improve with guitar. There's no difference. Like, it's just incremental improvements where you just get better, right?
Well, let's move over to one of your
Oh, yeah.
latest obsessions.
My latest obsession, and I'm totally obsessed with it. I love it. I love watching it on YouTube, and just like it's disc golf. Like, it's just throwing these smaller than normal sized discs around a course and into like a chain link basket kind of thing. And it's just, we have a great course here at Shamrock Park here in St. John, New Brunswick, and we just, me and a few friends just started playing it, and I'm just obsessed with it. I love it.
And it's relatively inexpensive compared to something like golf, or because the course here anyway, the course is free, so you can just go. Is there some sort of etiquette in terms of people lining up to start, or how does that work?
You just, like, if there's if you're a large group of people and there's like just two people behind you, you let them play through. It's the same as like regular golf, I think.
But I mean, you could literally have, if just coincidentally 100 people show up to all start disc golf at the same time, how would you decide who goes first?
I'm not really sure of that because I've never seen it happen. There is a league night that happens once a week, but I've never been there. And
So,
I
like-
imagine people just like, courteously figure it out, I guess.
It's like a flash mob.
I
for
don't
disc
imagine
golf.
there's too much violence involved with the whole situation, but it is really, really fun, and it's great exercise. You do 18 holes, but they're baskets, and it'll take it.
So they call them holes?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really sure. I'm new to it, so I could get some things wrong. So don't quote me on anything.
Yeah,
but-
if you're tuning in just now and you're wondering how to learn to play
Yeah.
disc golf and such, we suggest you find another source.
Yeah,
But
there's three different there's three different like discs to play like your game. So there's the distance driver, so to get it as far as you can towards the basket.
So like a driver in regular
Yeah,
golf,
and then there's a mid range, so like
like
and-
an iron.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a putter, and they're all shaped differently to do different things, right? So it's pretty. There's a lot to it actually to play the actual game, but like all you need are discs, and they're not. Actually, they are quite expensive. Some of them can be like $50 for one disc, and I don't know why yet. I haven't figured it out.
But I mean, relatively speaking, in the land of sports, it is. I mean, that's not an expensive
I guess
piece
not,
of sporting
no. Mm-hmm.
equipment. Like if you think of hockey or golf clubs or even pair of sneakers, I mean that it's pretty inexpensive. And
Yeah.
you got them at
Excuse me.
Canadian Tire, right?
Yes, I did.
We were just laughing the other day because Jeff cannot call it Canadian Tire. He still has to call it crappy tire.
Yeah, I call it crappy tire. I don't know why. I don't know where that even came from, but I think it's like a maritime thing, or maybe it's Canada-wide. I don't know. Do people in Ontario call Canadian Tire crappy tire? I don't know.
Well,
I have a nickname for almost every store, though. Really.
Sally Ann,
Sally
Salvation
Ann.
Army, which is a thrift store. If people are not familiar with Salvation Army stores, but
Value Pillage instead of Value Village.
I haven't heard. I've heard Value Village, but
Slobbies instead of Sobies. It just goes on. It goes on and on.
I think crappy tire is a pretty popular one, though. I feel like I hear that one all the time. When people, crappy tire.
I don't know why. I don't think they're happy about that, to be honest. Like, do you imagine them around the boardroom? Like, how do we escape this crappy tire thing?
We couldn't even escape getting their crappy tire money out of our junk drawers for decades on end. So
Oh, yeah.
it took a long time to get that out of circulation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, finally, nobody's coming in with...
It's amazing that they decided to come up with their own paper money years and years and years ago, probably in the 50s.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I
And
kinda
it's
feel
still
like
around.
It's like they came up with a currency, crappy tire currency.
Yeah, crappy tire per currency. It's very bizarre. They have like 5-cent bills and like 10-cent bills. Like, what's the point here? I don't get it. But anyway.
That tells you how long ago it was.
Yeah.
That 5 cents.
I know.
People will barely bend over for a nickel now. So, disc golf is something relatively easy to get into. You can get your discs at your local
Crappy Tire.
or Canadian Tire, whatever
Yep.
you choose to call it. And, well, you actually just ordered some on Amazon
I
because
did.
that's how much into it you are. You picked out,
Yeah.
you did some research, and you got some
Yep.
special discs. But even those were not very expensive. So,
They're still entry-level ones because I'm entry-level player, but it is really fun. There's so much to learn, like about how to throw the discs. So you need different kinds of discs to be able to do certain throws. You know what I mean?
right.
Because some really, like, you could throw them straight for a long time, and then all of a sudden they curve to the left or curve to the right. You just don't know.
Well, and I don't know where you're listening to, us from, but we have a lot of local listeners here in St. John. So, yeah, Shamrock Park, like Jeff said, there's a disc golf. It hasn't been there that long, I think a year or two, that disc golf course.
Yeah,
Maybe a
I
little
don't
longer
really
than that.
even know, but it's super fun though. It's like every hole is par 3.
How do you find it? Where's the start?
It's do you know where the Pizza Shack is? What's the name of that street? What's the name of that street? No. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can never remember the name of that street. Anyways, I don't know.
It's by the lower field at
just
Shamrock
Google,
Park?
Just Google it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, as usual, I have a lot of random items on here, so we'll jump into a few. I was thinking about the fact when I saw you had a mug of fat congealing on the back of the sink one day.
Yeah.
And I know that, that's something you do so you're not putting hot fat
Yeah,
into the
better
garbage
to-
and then put it moving into
Better
the
to do
compost.
that than
But do you remember, when I was growing up as a kid, we always had mugs of bacon fat in the fridge.
No, I don't remember that. I know that a lot of people really enjoy cooking with it, so it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like
Well, I figured that must be why we had it. I'll have to ask my parents, but that was the thing. We also owned a deep fryer. I don't know, like, do people still buy and own deep fryer, or do
yeah,
they just move to air
definitely.
fryers?
No, they have deep fryers.
Did you have one growing up, like full-on deep fryer?
No, never had one, but my friend Curtis did, and we would come home from school, from like high school, and make baskets of French fries. He would always get the first one, and I would get the second one, and we would just eat French fries.
I had a friend who we would cook them in a regular pot of oil on the stove. So that was something I remembered from growing up, and then I started to think about some other things, I guess. And funny enough, because kind of going back to childhood days, Footloose is an interesting movie that I decided to watch with our son recently.
That's right, you guys did.
And it, as a parent, you have these fond memories of these movies, and then when you put them on, you watch them with your kids, you become very aware of all of the inappropriate content that's in
And the
them.
cheesiness, like, is
Oh, the
just
cheese-
next level in that movie.
Oh yeah, I had basically and just trying to explain, like, evangelism and
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of teachable moments with 80s movies.
that's what I like to
Like,
say.
really?
Whenever I'm watching things that are inappropriate for sheer entertainment value, and then I wonder or question my own parenting skills, I'm like, no, this is just a teachable moment to talk about why
That's
this
a
is.
good way to do it, actually.
Here's a question. Why do you think leap years are the longer years? I feel like the leap year should be the shorter years.
Yeah, you should just leap over the other year and just forget about it and just leap right over it like a frog.
But I think they should call it the long year. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
Is it a leap year? No, it's the long year.
Yeah.
It's got an extra day in it.
The whole concept is just bizarre. Like the whole idea of a leap year.
Well, it's
like,
to make up for the quarter, right?
Yeah,
That we're, to every 4 years make up for that quarter turn.
yeah. it's amazing to me. But
So I am petitioning that leap years should be just called long years, and then that would be much easier for me personally to remember.
absolutely, going back to what you mentioned earlier about things that we had when we were kids. Were you a household? And I can't believe I don't know this, but did you have like peanut butter and molasses sandwiches?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you had molasses too.
Oh yes.
So did we, but
Any true maritimer has molasses.
We don't now.
We don't now.
Most places don't. I don't know
I
anybody.
think some people still do, or if they're baking specific things with it. Now I've replaced it with Marmite.
Yes. Yeah, you have. So here's my question.
I mean, they're completely different products, but I do like Marmite.
What is molasses?
It's like a very...
Go ahead. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I just want to see if you know.
It's like a refined sugar, right?
It's
in a syrup form.
But why is it like? What makes it dark?
I don't
like
know
this?
what makes like black. I don't know what the black strap molasses.
Next grocery order, we're getting molasses to see if Hux likes it.
Molasses.
Because we know we like it. Molasses.
Molasses.
Is it molasses or molasses?
I don't think it's either of those things.
What? How do you spell it?
I don't know. Was it slow as molasses and...
It's M-O, isn't it?
What's that saying? Slow as molasses in July? No, not July, because it would be really fast when the temperature's warm.
I don't know this saying.
Slow as molasses in October?
Okay.
You've never heard of this?
Just because it runs slow, because it's cold?
Because it's cold.
Okay.
That's slow as molasses. You've never heard that? Maybe there wasn't a
I
month
have
involved. Maybe I just added a month.
I have heard slow as
And a
molasses.
temperature.
I have. Yeah.
Maybe I added a lot to that whole saying in my own mind, but
I think you probably did.
so it is slow to come out, and also what's slow to come out is Marmite. But
Yeah.
I'm now ordering it in bulk from Amazon,
Yeah.
and because
You are. You should
weren't
get a
able
whole...
to locate it in our grocery store, and basically I just needed it. So
Mm-hmm.
and it came in. Each jar was individually bubble wrapped, which was excessive. I hate it when they.
Well, you don't
do-
want that Marmite, like, breaking.
Well,
See,
that's
it comes in a
true.
glass jar, right? That's probably why.
Well, it does. It does.
If it was a plastic jar, maybe they wouldn't
And
care.
I had to
but-
Google because there's a whole YouTube video on how to get the most Marmite out of the jar because it is quite difficult near the end. But I thought to myself, if somebody stole that Amazon package off of our doorstep, they would be really disappointed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They'd open it up and they'd be like,
You're like,
what?
what's this crap? And then
Marmite?
maybe you would have a lot of converts, though, that would love it.
Maybe.
You know, I haven't even tried it yet.
I
So
don't, well,
I'm
there's
kind
no
of a wimp.
competition in the household for it. I pretty much have the jars all to myself. It's funny, we were recording on a Sunday afternoon, late afternoon, because Jeff is going to be playing some disc golf.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be quiet, but no, all the Sunday drivers are out, even the motorcycle
Here's
drivers.
a question for you. What are some of the things that you, when you were a kid, you wished you had in your in your home, but you didn't?
A swimming pool.
No. I mean food. Food, swimming pool.
A pony.
A
I
jacuzzi.
wanted a pony.
A pony. Yeah. Well, you were deprived. No swimming pool. No pony.
I circled it in the Sears Christmas wish book, but it just never arrived.
There's
Couldn't
a
fit it in.
thing
Couldn't
that
fit-
they don't do anymore. Kids don't circle anything in like wish books anymore. It's like online.
I know. Well, they created
But,
like
like-
an Amazon wish list thing. I don't think that many kids are using it, but I think that probably came a bit from that concept of,
Yeah.
having a wish list.
In my household, as far as cereal is concerned, we only had cornflakes and shreddies. There was never any deviation.
But did
from
you
that.
put sugar on it? Like,
Oh yes, you have to.
see, that's something that doesn't happen as much anymore.
No,
Not
but there's no sugar.
There's no bowls of sugar sitting
No.
around. Well, maybe there are in some people's houses. If you're having tea and that's a thing you do, I don't know.
But I was always a kid that always wanted the Cocoa Puffs and the honey or the honeycomb, whatever.
Now, see, I didn't always get everything I circled in the Sears wish book.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of things I didn't get. If it was a motorized item, like, how they had their little motorized cars and things like that.
Oh yeah, like
I didn't even flip to those pages because there was no way I was
They're
getting...
just too expensive.
Oh,
Or-
yeah.
oh,
They were
yeah.
really expensive.
Oh man, everything.
I don't think anyone in my whole hometown of Hampton had one of those little motorized vehicles. That wasn't something that was... Now it seems like everybody... You go on Facebook and all these kids have these motorized cars, little mini cars.
Are you
and
talking
things.
remote control?
No, like the ones they actually ride in.
Oh, those, yeah. Do you remember the ones that had like the metal like things you put your feet in and you pushed one way to move and and the other way, like you kind of went around in a circle and like
You mean like pedals?
like well, I guess they would be pedals. Yes, that is what they're called. But it was like yeah, you controlled like your movement, which was really interesting. Those were really expensive.
Kind of like on a bicycle.
Yeah, like exactly like a bicycle. Yes. Oh,
Yes,
I was lucky to have a bike. I went a long time without a bike.
my bike got stolen. I left it outside a really long time though, so I was kind of asking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't take good care of it.
Cheese slices
Sorry,
too.
Mom and Dad.
Never had cheese slices when I was growing up.
The ones that
I'd
are
always go to my friend Georgie's place, and he'd always have cheese slices in his fridge. And can I have a cheese slice?
the individual plastic
Just and I would take it and I would turn it into as many little squares as I could, and I would just eat them as a snack. It was funny. I still remember doing that. He's like, go ahead, have a cheese slice.
You could buy some of those if you wanted.
I did tonight.
Did you?
Yeah.
The ones that are individually packaged?
Yeah. I honestly,
lot of plastic.
I think they make cheeseburgers. That kind of cheese, like the gooey cheese, and so did Anthony Bourdain. So.
I kind of feel like it develops a skin on it, almost like its own plastic. It's like it's plastic in
I know.
plastic.
I've heard
like
like
a skin.
I've heard like local folk tales or whatever that they're one derivative short of plastic, but I don't know if that's true.
Yes. Well, it's like the same as Cheese Whiz is gray until they add the orange.
Yeah, and ketchup is like what? What color's ketchup before they add the red?
I don't know.
Or do they add the red? I don't know.
What if I told
Is
you
a
it wasn't even
conspiracy?
red?
Yeah,
Remember
that's
when
true.
they had green ketchup? Is that still a thing?
What
What were they trying with that?
I don't know.
Let's talk about what we're watching.
Oh, you know
Are we
what?
gonna
We're on the Love Island train.
Love Island USA,
Yeah.
which literally is on every day.
Amy wanted to watch it initially because Ariana Madix is the host.
Right.
So
And if you don't know who Ariana is, well, we probably already lost you at Love Island USA, but
yeah.
she was, she's on Vanderpump Rules, which is another reality show. But Love Island USA, it airs literally every day of the week except for Wednesday. What's kind of cool about it is it's airing in real time. So the people it's filmed on the island of Fiji, and they're on Fiji and as you're watching, they're still there. And America gets to vote.
But Amy and I, we love ridiculing the decisions that they make. We just sit there and just like, yeah. But I mean,
know,
it's
we're
not fun unless you don't do that.
You got to judge.
You can't.
That's what reality TV is. It's judging.
Yeah, it is.
So that is, people always say guilty pleasure with reality TV. I don't care. I don't feel guilty. It's an emotional escape, and I love it.
I got roped
here
into
for
it,
it.
and I mean, it is what it is. I watch it. I do.
Sometimes it's good to watch a show where you can you can check your email or scroll through social media while it's on.
Ignore it. Yeah.
It's not a heavy lift in terms of viewing.
This is true.
Owning Manhattan recently.
I didn't
launched.
watch all of that. You and Hux watched it all.
Yes.
I don't know why. What was I doing? Was I just out?
I just didn't want to stop. I binged.
Oh yeah.
I binged it, and I think you. I don't know. You went out.
You'd probably rewatch it.
I probably would. I really enjoyed it. For those who haven't heard of it, it's on Netflix, and it is starring Ryan Serhant. Basically follows him launching. He launched a business, Serhant.
Your boyfriend outside of the marriage. You love this guy.
I love his work ethic.
You do, but but he would love your work ethic. That's the thing. You would be able to teach him a few things about work ethic.
Work ethic is very attractive.
Yeah, well, there you go. He's up.
And he also has a background in acting, which makes his, so it's a reality TV show about being a real estate agent, and that's what his company is. But he also was on $1 Million Listing New York for years. And so when that stopped up, I didn't have a Ryan Serhant fix, and now he came out with Owning Manhattan, which really got great reviews because it has a little bit of the drama of traditional reality TV, but it also has a good side of or a good view of the business or real estate, and it has these crazy properties in Manhattan. Just the most the most expensive penthouse in the world is featured on the show. And
does he sell it, or is that a spoiler?
Well,
Is
yeah,
that
I'm
a
not going to
spoiler?
give any spoilers.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to give any spoilers. Anyways, I haven't watched that show, so I mean, I don't really have much to say about it.
But you did watch Rory Scovel with me, who is a comedian. We
That
like
first
to-
special we watched was hilarious. I had
It
to
was-
keep stopping it so Amy could like wipe the tears away from her face from laughing so hard.
And if you decide to watch it, you'll likely judge us, or maybe you'll just judge me for the first bit, because it is really crass when it starts out. Specifically, I guess it's pretty crass for the first.
It
But
is.
but if you give it a little bit of time,
He's hilarious.
and
He really
you
is.
just wait for some bits that are a little later on, I do have to get Jeff to pause it because I miss jokes, because I'll be crying and
Yeah.
just like full on. I don't know,
Yeah.
I can't even. Anyway, I'm fun. I'm laughing just thinking about
He
him.
is really, really funny. And if you don't know who Rory Scovel is, if you've seen the show called Physical, which was on Prime, I believe, or whatever it was, he played the main character's husband. So he's also an actor, and he's a. I don't know how you would explain his comedy.
It's a bit observational.
Yeah, it's observational, absolutely. But he talks like, I find all great comedians. I mean, it's all conversational. It's like you're talking to like your best friend is talking to you, and it really makes the flow, I find, really work with comedy.
Yeah, like they do the work, and
Yeah.
to make it seem natural. Like Jim
Yeah.
Gaffigan, same thing. It
Jim
just seems like
Gaffigan,
he's up
yeah.
there talking, but he's writing. They're working on their material, trying it out in clubs for,
Yeah.
sometimes months to years, prepping for these 1 hour specials.
Speaking of like trying it out in clubs, we watched this other sort of quasi documentary / comedy special of Rory Scovel's, and it's based in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Relapse. I think that's what it's called, right?
Relapse Theater, yes.
Relapse Theater, and it kind of like merges the guy trying to keep the place afloat, and also Rory doing like completely improvised comedy shows for an entire week. So he has no notes, he doesn't do anything to prepare. He just gets out on the stage and just goes for it.
Just starts talking, kind
And-
of like what we're doing with this podcast
It
episode.
really is what we do with this podcast, to be honest. But it's kind of, I mean, I'm not really giving anything away. It's kind of hit and miss, like you would expect. But it's a really interesting, look into the way in which an artist develops their craft. Let's just put
It was
that way.
really fascinating. I learned a lot from it, and I mean, I joke. I actually have my iPad in my hand with notes on it, but he went out there blind.
Yeah.
The reason I actually came across his name was I listened to Mark Maron's WTF podcast, and he was interviewing Neil Brennan, who is another phenomenal comedian who just if you've watched Three Mics,
Three Mics is a masterpiece.
It
I
is.
think. It's one of my favorite all-time comedy specials that is on Netflix or Prime or wherever.
And they were talking about Rory Scovel and basically just saying he's really underrated, and he does have controversial content.
Oh yeah,
as most
he
comedians
pushes
do.
the envelope like any comedian. But I mean, isn't that what people like about comedians, though, that they push the envelope? So
every once in a while, I'll hear a random comedian name mentioned, and we'll Google them up, and that one turned out. I'm going to talk about another obsession I have that I have to thank my son for getting me onto Duolingo.
oh yeah,
But I will not pay. I will never pay for the paid version of chess.com, of Duolingo. I'll just look away from the ads.
It's not
even
because
going
you're
to
cheap. It's just you just don't want to pull. You don't want to.
I don't need any more monthly subscriptions.
That makes sense. We do have a fair amount of those,
And
like
it's,
most households do,
yeah,
probably.
like Netflix, Prime, that's all you're getting. But I'm learning Spanish through Duolingo, and it is really fun. I actually enjoy the app, and there is you can go through it and do it for free. So if you are interested in picking up a language, we often travel to countries that Spanish is primary language, and even though you'll oftentimes find people who speak English, we've gone to places like Nicaragua, and even some of the places in Costa Rica really needed Spanish. We were lucky to be
Yeah.
traveling with friends who spoke Spanish, and in both spots. And in Costa Rica, even just to arrange for drivers, it was a little tricky when you didn't have a lick of Spanish. So I'm going to see if I can at least get some basics in, and it's always good to keep learning.
So you don't have to speak Spanish, of course, but like, what are some of the things that you've learned? Can you say, like, my name is Amy in Spanish and, like, things like that? Or are you learning, like, words?
I literally started like 2 days ago.
What? No, you've been doing it for, like, at least a week.
Has it been a week?
Oh, yeah. You're like, I got to do my Duolingo.
Oh, okay. Maybe. Well, I guess I haven't progressed this as far as I would like to. But
So you're fluent? Is that what you're trying to say?
I got past gracias and por favor and de nada, buenas noches.
I should probably do the
all
same thing, but I don't. But I probably should.
The listeners are just dropping off.
Yeah.
And Hux is learning German because that'll be helpful.
Yeah, that'll be super helpful.
He just really had an interest in German. He has a classmate who speaks German, and so he had an interest in that. And actually, when we were in Switzerland, that would have been a helpful thing to have German. So they're we have traveled to some places but Spanish just seems to be pretty widespread. I mean, we speak French and English here, so it's those are our base languages, and then Spanish becomes quite easy because most of the words are a derivative of those two languages.
Yeah.
That can be completely false, but
yeah.
as someone who speaks French and English, I find Spanish words seem to be a lot easier to pick up on, like pain, P-A-I-N, French for bread. In Spanish, it's P-A-N.
Oh, okay.
So, very helpful.
Great. That's awesome. No, it's really great that you're learning a language, just slow but sure.
Back to chess. Does anyone actually play backgammon? You know, they always have this.
Oh, yeah. People play backgammon. I don't really know how to play it,
They
to be
always
honest.
have the sets, and they come with either we have to put something else on the other side of this board to make it, add a little value to this box, and they put the little triangles for backgammon.
Oh, yeah.
Which I just find odd. Do
you know how to play it?
No.
Oh, well, it's probably not that difficult to learn, so we should learn, and then we'll report back to see if we like it.
But it's got those long, thin triangles, and then the round pieces that don't quite fit, and it's not like chess
We go
with
through,
squares.
as a family, like phases where we'll play games like crazy, and then we'll stop for months. We're on like a really bad drought right now. We used to play Catan.
It's kind of a winter thing. Winter is coming.
I guess.
I feel like it's there's a trend on TikTok lately called sunshine guilt, and it's that idea of spending time inside when it's sunny. It gives you guilt.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
And I sort of feel like you get sunshine guilt if you were playing board games on a nice sunny afternoon.
That's why disc golf is a good thing to play.
I had a vacation day recently, and it was calling for pouring rain. And I think a younger version of me would have been like, oh, it's vacation day. I'll hit the beach. And I was like...
You loved it.
And I was like, oh, it's awesome. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read and play online chess and just hang out and not feel an obligation to go out and make the most of the day.
Yeah.
There was a great article I read recently I think it was in Vox magazine. Well, online website, Vox. And... they actually didn't even call it an article. They called it an essay. So I read an essay. Which sounds way better. It just talked about how summer was a bit overrated. How everybody puts a lot of pressure on themselves for...
Did you send that to me, or did you just tell me about it?
I might have just told you about it, and now I'm telling our listeners about it. But it's the idea that, it's hot. It's incredibly hot. But people have these fond, nostalgic memories from childhood that they think are amazing. But when you try to reenact them... like the marshmallows by the fire, maybe don't taste quite as good as what you remember them to be. And all the things that you pressure yourself into, like, I got to do this, it's got to be the best summer ever, I got to get to the beach this many times and do all these outdoor activities. And really it's just 3 more months of the year is the way that it's, and even though as a child it seemed to stretch on forever and had a different context. As an adult, it is just... in some places it's just so hot and it's unbearable to go outside. So it was an interesting take on it, the idea that maybe summer isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, absolutely, I can see that.
But everybody's always like, I can't wait for summer. It's the season that people talk about. It's the Beach Boys are singing about it. It's some summertime.
Some summertime.
Anyway, so it is some summertime, and now it's disc golf time.
Yes.
So we have to sign off.
That's right. Thanks for listening, everybody, and hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes, those were our latest obsessions, and maybe you want to check them out. And we'd love to hear all about your latest obsessions, but you probably won't tell us.
Yeah, you
And
should
that's
tell
okay.
us. No one's ever contacted us about our podcast, and when we say, "Oh yeah, reach out and let us know," not one person.
Not one person.
Anyways, thanks for listening.
There are a lot of people who listen, though. The downloads
Yeah.
are,
Picking up.
yeah.
Man, we just have fun. We don't really care if anybody
It's
listens.
been about a month since we put out an episode, but anyway, we're back.
We don't care if anybody listens, but we care about everybody who does.
That's well said.
Thank you. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Be sure to check out past episodes and subscribe to keep up with what's new.
You can find us anywhere you get your podcast, and why not leave a review?
You can also follow Infrequent on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Till next time.